Hello there. Well gang, I've got a very special show for you today. So before we start, don't forget to smack that like and subscribe button and smack that bell. And now let's get into it. Well, as we're probably all aware, the cost of living crisis at the moment is making everything really expensive, and of course that includes Lego. So I'm looking at some ways of saving money with building Lego models. And the first idea I want to float across to you is this one, which is the Lego Merchant Bank building, which is a very charming sort of Art Deco 1920s style classical bank. The Lego bank can cost anything up to, from say 160 up to 400 odd pounds these days, depending where you get it from and what condition it's in. But for a fraction of that cost, you could get the Lepin version. And when I say Lepin, I just mean sort of generic Chinese compatible Lego. I don't think Lepin actually exists anymore, but I bought this version some time ago and I think I paid £45. I mean, currently you can get it for about 70 odd pounds. So if you don't mind going down the compatible route, you can get some quite nice buildings sort of in the Lepin style, and you know, it's exactly the same as the Lego version. You can't really tell any difference, except maybe on the top studs you don't get the traditional Lego logo on the little studs there, but you could easily substitute a couple of grey base plates on the top, so you've got that Lego look, at least for the top story, because the rest of it frankly doesn't look any different to Lego. So that's one way of getting the cheaper version, is to, you know, just go down the compatible route. Now, another way to get some really nice and actually quite unique Lego modular buildings for a much lower price is you can go on the internet to websites such as Rebrickable, and people put some really nice designs on there, which normally you have to pay a few pounds for, or a few dollars as the Americans would say, but generally they're not expensive. And if you look at this Dutch townhouse, for example, a lot of the building bricks sort of behind the facade are just sort of plain white, so it's not particularly expensive, and I would say at least 80% of the pieces for this building I already had in my collection. So you then have to go to Bricklink to get some individual pieces, such as these sort of twiddly bits at the top there, some of these, but generally I think it probably costs less than £50 to get all the extra bits and bobs necessary for this one. And that's especially true if you're a bit flexible, for example on the internal furnishings, if you want to change things slightly, so you're not ending up paying really expensive prices for sort of very rare bricks. Now I'll just show you this really nice Parisian building, which incongruously is next to the Amsterdam townhouse, but it was I think done by the same designer on Rebrickable, so it's worth having a quick look. And again, I think it came in at less than £50, this one. The bricks are a little bit more sort of rare colours, in the sense that they were sort of light tan as opposed to white, but even so I did have a lot of those, and so it came in quite cheaply. The main things you have to buy are things like these balcony pieces, which are quite elaborate. I had to buy some windows as well, but otherwise it's a fairly straightforward design, and I had a lot of these pieces in my collection already. So here is another example of saving money on modular buildings, which was a little experiment I tried recently. As you may have seen from some of the previous videos, I tried to build a copy of the Tudor pub, which is a Lego modular building, but instead of buying it in the shiny box, I basically already had about maybe 20% of the pieces, and I had a little experiment seeing if I could buy pieces, particularly from Bricklink, to see whether I could do it cheaper. Now it came in at about maybe £40 cheaper. I think the original set was about £160, something like that, and I made it for about 110. But the slight drawback to that is that, okay, it saved a little bit of money, but not a massive amount. And also I had to compromise on some of the rare pieces. For example, the clock piece there, I just used a plain gold disc instead of the printed version, which would have been really expensive. And I'm going to have to do some stickers for things like that. Also for the front of the pub, there was a sort of blackboard there with the menu on it, which again I'm going to have to make a sticker for things like that, which would originally have been printed pieces. I had to compromise on the minifigs as well, because it would have been really expensive buying all the minifigs. So I decided to turn it into a pirate pub, and I've made use of these existing pirate minifigs that I had. And I've made some bits and bobs, such as the whiskey bottle there and various things. I mean, I'll show you a quick look inside. So it's a little bit bare of furniture on the inside. I've put the Aspidistra in there and a sort of bookcase, but I've had to compromise on some of the internal furnishings that would have been in the original. If we take that side off, I did want to keep the original fireplace, so I've made that, and as you can see I'll need to put a sticker on that clock face there, but most of the furniture I'm going to have to sort of mix and match with that one. I think this was the clockmaker's room with all the different clocks, and I did have a grandfather clock there, which an existing one which I've used, but otherwise I haven't really got the internal details that it had on the original building. The downstairs floor I changed slightly from the original. I've made a sort of extra room in the pub there, which originally was a separate little building. I think it was a shop of some sort next door. I've kept the sort of more or less the bar equipment, including the coffee machine there and the nice lamps and things on the curved bar top there, and that lovely cash register. I quite like that down there. Again, on the things such as the clock face there, I've got to put some stickers on because I didn't have the printed versions. I mean, otherwise I've compromised a bit on the detail. In fact, the kitchen area I've actually made more elaborate than the original. I think mine's actually better than the original version, so I put all sorts of details in there. But yeah, you do have to compromise a bit on some of the more expensive pieces if you're going to copy it from an existing building. So all in all, to be honest, it's probably not worth doing that. If you really want the corner house, the pub building, it's probably best to just buy the original in the shiny box, to be honest, because you get all the minifigs and all the bits and bobs and the instructions, so you don't have to worry about scrabbling around to find pieces or to buy expensive pieces. So bit of a failed experiment on that one, but at least I've ended up with a very nice pirate's pub out of it. Okay gang, so for a really spectacular example of how to save some serious money, I think basically the route to go down is compatible Lego. As you'll be aware from my previous videos, I recently splashed out, I think it was £140 from memory, it might have even have been 120 actually, to buy this lovely Lego Knight's Castle. The real Lego version I think costs north of £450, or about $500 basically, or 500 euros to get the real Lego one. I actually went with a Lepin style one, which I bought off eBay. I mean, the advantage of doing that is that you get a fairly faithful reproduction of the model. You get all the minifigs included with it, and there's quite a lot of minifigs here. And of course you can add some extra figures, which is what I've done. I already had some minifigs, for example the king there, which I've added. The queen came with the set. I think this lady with the hawk was a minifig that I already had. I bought Jangles the Jester especially because I think you need a jester with a medieval castle. But yeah, basically I've saved over £300 with this one. So if you're buying quite a big set, that's where you make the big savings if you go down the compatible route. So yeah, if you want to save money on either modular buildings or some of the other spectacular buildings that LEGO does, then basically I would go down the route of compatible LEGO, or the other alternative, to get some really nice modulars which are very unique as well. Maybe go to a site like Rebrickable and download the instructions from there, or alternatively copy things from the internet and buy the bits and bobs that you don't have. It will still work out a lot cheaper than the sort of equivalent building in the LEGO official catalogue. So yeah, by all means go with some nice mocks or get some compatible LEGO. And on that bombshell, I'll say live long and prosper. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and smack that bell because it helps the channel. And I'll see you all next time.